violence and other kind of violence.
Guess what? I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. But I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's a Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
New York Mayor Adams escalating his campaign to remove people who are homeless from sleeping in public places like subways or street corners. But while that's going on full throttle, there's a new controversy over people setting up camps in places that don't belong to them. This time, stairwells of apartment buildings. Yep.
Wow. So, I mean, this is how bad New York has gotten, the Bronx specifically. My man got his whole setup. He bringing chicks back here. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Tenants finding people sleeping in the stairwell. Here's investigative reporter Dan Krauth.
People living inside this Bronx building say they're afraid to leave their own apartments due to an unwanted visitor.
This is absurd.
A homeless man living inside their stairwell.
Free rent. And this is what y'all voted for. I'm so like annoyed with these sisters because everything that they hate, they voted for. Y'all are the ones who advocate for these reformative policies for the homeless and all this kind of stuff, and making it easier for them to do their thing and enabling them. And then not to mention all the other stuff that has went down in 2020, the protests, the BLM scam. It's just a mess. And you want the police to be abolished, but y'all can't even get this homeless man out of your apartment building.
You didn't have to live in fear and filth. It's COVID out here. We want your clothes on, you feel what I'm saying? You got little girls here.
Not just sleeping here, as you can see.
He was completely naked in the staircase, with blood dripping down his arms.
But he has made it his home on two separate floors of the stairwell, surrounded by all of his belongings.
He has the 6th floor and the 5th floor, so he has a duplex. It's pretty nice and comfortable for him. He has comforters and things of that nature there. I think he had Uber Eats a few times.
And it's not just him.
My man is Uber eating out of that mug. That's crazy.
Tenants say his friends come to visit and stay there with him.
They own the staircase, they own the hallway, and it's like we have to work around them.
This isn't a new problem at the large HUD-subsidized building on Simpson Street.
This hasn't been going on for 2 days or 2 months, but 2 years?
2 whole years.
Wow.
A homeless man in your stairwell.
2 years. That man has been living rent-free. Ain't nobody pressed him. Ain't nobody said nothing to him. He probably laid down the law. He probably done smashed some chicks in that stairwell. That's crazy.
Yes, 2 whole years. I done gained weight, lost weight. He's still there.
They say they've been pushed back and forth for years now. Management telling them to call police, and police show up, the man takes off, and then comes back with no permanent solution.
We reported on a similar issue at another Bronx apartment building just a few months ago. Homeless people living in a different stairwell and nothing being done about it. Residents there bought their own security cameras.
And trust me, I do have empathy for him.
They say they've complained more than 24 times to management over the past 2 years.
So this is, I call this person?
Yeah.
When we showed up, an office worker told us to call the manager.
So is there a plan in place to try to remove him?
She sent us a statement saying, this has been a concerning issue for the larger community since the pandemic began. They, along with the prior owner and manager, have been working with their city partners to address it. And went on to say they will work with their residents, the city, and nonprofit partners to collectively come up with a strategy to ensure their homes are secure and homeless New Yorkers have access to the services they need.
I hope they remove him before something terrible happens.
We will let you know when he gets the care he needs. And if you want to check this interactive map we created on where homeless complaints are happening this year, head to abc7ny.com.
Now to an Eyewitness News exclusive. They say they are living in fear, terrorized by a group of kids that comes to their building in the Bronx night after night.
Wow. So not only do you have homeless men sleeping in the stairwell, you have these super teen gremlins on demon time terrorizing the whole building.
And these senior citizens say it's gotten so bad, they're afraid to come out after dark. Eyewitness News reporter Lucy Yang has the story from the Morrisania section.
Look in my eyes. I have not slept.
67-year-old Miriam Cintron and her neighbors live in a state of fear. They claim large gangs of young teens have been terrorizing their apartment building in the Bronx all summer, and it's getting worse.
They came at us. They beat us. They broke that stick from that tree there to...
Dang, they terrorizing these old ladies, beating them with sticks from trees. What does that sound like? It sounds like they're enslaving these elderly and the women and the children. They're enslaving them within their own homes.
Beat us with the wood. We don't have nobody.
Miriam says they broke the pole from the tree well and turned it into a weapon Saturday night as she fell victim to their violence.
They were kicking me in my side. They were kicking me on this side. They was punching me in my back, trying to get my face, but I covered.
63-year-old Nydia Carrero says a group of young girls the same night slammed her to the sidewalk, dragged her and pummeled her after she refused them entry into her building.
They wanted to hang out in the hallway and smoke pot and mess up the building. They go in there with bikes in there half the time.
This is 1294 and 1295 East 169th Street in the Morrisania section of the Bronx. Most of the tenants here are elderly. They tell me they are being swarmed, beaten, and robbed by ruthless teens who have turned their apartment building into an oasis of lawlessness and who apparently count on their youth to spare them. As the adolescents escalate the violence night after night, residents are left bruised and traumatized.
Wow.
It's a shame. And they are telling us they're going to come back and burn the building down. It's ridiculous.
Woo! And I believe them too. They might even shoot it up. Who knows? But it's safe to say that they have taken over that building and declared it their turf. I wouldn't be surprised if there are going to be some gangs that may have already come out of that building or about to come out.
Many tenants have lived here for decades and they take care of each other, but they concede they are no match for this nightmare, which has claimed their peace.
Now to a story you first saw on Channel 7. Changes are in the works at a Bronx apartment building where residents say they are living in fear. They say they're being terrorized by a group of young people who overrun their building night after night. After our story aired Sunday night, community leaders and police now talking with those residents about their concerns and to ensure their safety. Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Souls live in the Morrisania section with more. Marcus.
And some relief for those residents who are getting some results today. They've been meeting all day, first with the borough president, then with NYPD officials as well, and now some of the violence interrupter groups in the community, and they've been assured.
I'm telling you right now, the violence interrupters are not finna stop anything. They show up for the events, they show up for the funerals, and, you know, I'm not saying that they don't do anything in the community, but it's like, it's pretty ineffective, especially when you talk about a grand scheme of things.
That there will be stepped up patrols. Now already today, there is a police presence outside of the building on East 169th Street and Morris Avenue, where harassment boiled over to violence over the weekend. A number of residents, some of them elderly, assaulted by packs of youths that have been congregating in the building at night, invading the hallways and the lobby. Now, Eyewitness News brought you the story on Sunday. Today, the Bronx Borough president got involved. She met with residents this afternoon expressing outrage and admitted she was embarrassed that this had not come to her attention sooner. The 44th precinct now involved as well. And the BP saying she is reaching out to building management about addressing some of these safety concerns.
We want to make sure that management and landlord are aware that we are here to work and we're here to partner to make sure that all the residents feel safe. Because again, these are our grandparents, these are our grandmas and grandpas.
I mean, these sisters are in charge pretty much everywhere, y'all. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out where they don't have power. Seriously.
And we're here to partner to make sure that all the residents feel safe. Because again, these are our grandparents, these are our grandmas and grandpas.
Now, police seem to believe that the quote-unquote worst of this is over. They did make 5 arrests related to that incident on Saturday of individuals between the ages of 15 and 17 years old. There were a total of 5 residents seriously injured, but the police assure that there will be patrols here. There will be a squad car in front of the building for the time being. Coming up at 5, we'll have reaction from residents and the management company as well.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video. And make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this son violence in the streets. I'm Janquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois. We'll get into that in just a moment, but first tonight, we begin with breaking news from Queens. 4 pedestrians, including a toddler, are hurt in a hit and run. Happened just after 5 this evening at George Street and Wyckoff Avenue in Ridgewood.
Another hit and run by these super reckless gremlins on Demon Time. I mean, these dudes cannot drive. I'm convinced because we see this time and time again. I just did the story on the guy going, you know, on the runway on the one-way road on the highway. He turned on a one-way street. Like, I mean, it is getting ridiculous out here. And then they hit a toddler and 4 other people. It's crazy. At least their hit rate is better with a vehicle than with a firearm.
Police say a driver with a suspended license hit the gas during a traffic stop, hitting a 28-year-old woman pushing a 2-year-old in a stroller. 2 other adults were also hurt, all of them suffering minor injuries. The driver eventually abandoned the car and is still on the run tonight.
Really intense, tough to look at news surveillance video. Right there, it shows the moment a driver plowed his SUV into 3 people, including a mother and child. That impact sending the mother flying into the side of a parked car as the driver.
Wow, and this is crazy. He just sped off and hit this woman while she crossing the street. Now, I will say she's not crossing on the crosswalk, which is crazy with a baby in the stroller, but still, I mean, what are you doing? It's like either he did it on purpose or he wasn't paying attention, or maybe he was scared of the police pulling up. I don't know.
Driver fled the traffic stop in Queens. News 4's Adam Harding live in Ridgewood tonight. Adam, I know the search continues for the man behind the wheel, but we're all concerned for the folks who were hitting that video there.
And Natalie, that video is so hard to watch, isn't it? And we do want to warn everyone, the video in the story is very difficult to process, but keep in mind everyone who was struck on the road right behind us, they are okay. They had some injuries, but nothing too severe. As for the man who caused this terrible accident, well, police clearly know who they're looking for because he was pulled over right next to where I am standing right now. And as officers approached him, he then sped off, hitting 3 people.
Stunning new surveillance video capturing the moment of impact. We're showing you the video in full because the victim survived, but witnesses are still shaken.
I was so panicking.
We have some really intense, tough to look at news surveillance video. Right there, it shows the moment a driver plowed his SUV into 3 people, including a mother and child. That impact sending the mother flying into the side of a parked car as the driver fled the traffic stop in Queens. News 4's Adam Harding live.
So he was fleeing the traffic stop. That's what it was. Wow. Just because he didn't want to get pulled over. Probably had something on him, other charges, and turned it into an even bigger charge. I mean, these super gremlins just don't be thinking. And apparently this is the boyfriend of Notorious B.I.G.'s daughter. Maybe he was an aspiring rapper as well, trying to smash his way to the top, as if she has any type of pull in the music industry. I mean, it's wild, y'all.
In Ridgewood tonight, Adam, I know the search continues for the man behind the wheel, but we're all concerned for the folks who were hit in that video there.
And Natalie, that video is so hard to watch, isn't it? And we do want to warn everyone, the video in the story is very difficult to process, but keep in mind, everyone who was struck on the road right behind us, they are okay. They had some injuries, but nothing too severe. As for the man who caused this terrible accident, well, police clearly know who they're looking for because he was pulled over right next to where I am standing right now. And as officers approached him, he then sped off, hitting 3 people.
Stunning new surveillance video capturing the moment of impact. We're showing you the video in full because the victim survived, but witnesses are still shaken.
I was so panicking. It was very horrific seeing such an accident.
Maxwell Apia works as a security guard at the motel.
And we gotta change the verbiage. I mean, it's not an accident anymore if he actually just like floored it to get away from the police.
Near the scene of the accident, 3 innocent bystanders were struck, including a 28-year-old mom pushing her 2-year-old daughter in a stroller. Thankfully, neither were seriously injured.
The mom was screaming and running around the place trying to look for the baby. And the baby looks a little bit confused in the middle of the street.
Police had just pulled the driver over late Wednesday, moments before the crash. They say he had a suspended license, and when responding officers went to arrest him, he hit the accelerator.
I saw the cops pulling one of the guy in a black Dodge car or something, and at first he got off and then went back into the car, and the cops were trying to approach him. He just took off.
And you saw him run over the 3 people, including the child?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a little kid.
We showed the video to those in this Ridgewood neighborhood. A 35-year-old beer delivery worker was also struck. Witnesses say it appears he suffered a nasty wound to his leg.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, people now, this traffic right here is terrible. Like, it's always terrible. Like, people come through there speeding, it's not enough space, so an accident could always happen over here because of the way it is. Like, they got to space it out or something.
The NYPD quickly tracked down the suspect's car, but it was abandoned. Whoever was behind the wheel remains on the run.
I hope they do something about it because it's a bad situation.
And again, Natalie, it's been over 24 hours since that horrific accident, that hit and run crash. The driver.
And I do want to say something about apparently Biggie Small's daughter put up her home. I think her name Tyanna or Tatiana Wallace, something like that. She put up her home, $1 million home, to bail this dude out. I think his bail was like $1.5 million for this hit and run. You want to talk about where the generational wealth is going? Is going to that courthouse. It's going to the city to bail out these super gremlins on demon time. I mean, of course she would date a Pookie, even though, you know, she's supposed to be eating off of royalties of Big. Hopefully she is, if Diddy didn't screw them out of that one. But man, I mean, she falling for Pookie and Ray Ray. What can you say? I mean, it's just a typical thug love story, huh?
Still has yet to be caught. We checked in with the police late today. Still no arrests so far in this case. As for the injuries, especially to that little child, we understand that 2-year-old injured her wrist. The mom injured her knee. Both expected to be okay. We're live tonight in Ridgewood, Queens. I'm Adam Harding, News 4 New York.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.